In this lesson, we're going to look at how to find the determinant of a 3 by 3 matrix. Suppose we start with the 3 by 3 matrix, first row A1, B1, C1, second row A2, B2, C2, third row A3, B3, C3. In order to find the determinant of this matrix, it's going to be very helpful to do just a little work off to the side, so we're kind of manipulating how it looks. We're not really changing the matrix, this is just scratch work, and it helps us see what's going on in this rather complicated looking formula. So this is the formula for the determinant of this 3 by 3 matrix. A way that we can help remember this is what you would do is you would actually add the first column, so after the matrix, you would add the first column, A1, A2, A3. Add the second column. Okay. And this will help us visualize what's going on. So the determinant of a 3 by 3, the way that it works is we would start at the main diagonal of the original matrix. And you would take A1 times B2 times C3. That's what we just found there. And then you would continue. You would then find B1 times C2 times A3. We see that as the second term. Then C1 times A2 times B3 is our third term. And notice you can't really complete the multiplication on 3 terms anymore. You've used the 3 main diagonals that we have starting from the top. So then what you're going to do is then you're going to start subtracting terms. And the way to help you remember this is whenever you're going down, they're positive, but whenever you start multiplying back up, that's when they become negative. So our next term can be found by A3 times B2 times C1 is this next entry. So minus that, minus the next diagonal on the way up, B3 times C2 times A1. So subtracting that, minus our final term, C3 times A2 times B1. So this is some value plus some value plus some value minus these, and that would be the determinant of a 3 by 3. Let's work through this next example together. So if we're trying to find the determinant of this matrix, you begin by the vertical bars kind of make us or the symbol for determinant. We write down the matrix, row 1, row 2, row 3, and then what we need to do is we actually are going to add to it just to help us organize what's going on. So you would take the first column and rewrite it. 2, 3. Oh, sorry. I'll stay consistent with the coloring. So 2, 3, 2. Then you would take the second column, 3, 3, 4, and we perform that procedure above. So you can follow the formula or you can think about this. You would take 2 times 3 times 1 plus 3 times 1 times 2 plus 1 times 3 times 4. Now that there's no other diagonals for us to come down and multiply through, we now go back to the beginning, starting at the bottom of the first column, and then go up. All of these where you're kind of moving upwards, you're going to subtract. So then minus 2 times 3 times 1, minus 4 times 1 times 2, minus 1 times 3 times 3. Let's write that down. 2 times 3 times 1 plus 3 times 1 times 2 plus, so 3 times 1 times 2 plus 1 times 3 times 4. Okay, now I'm out of space, so I'm going to continue below. Minus 2 times 3 times 1 minus 4 times 1 times 2 minus 1 times 3 times 3. Next, we're just going to find the value of each of these individual terms and then simplify. Simplifying each of the individual terms and then adding together, we should get the value of 1. So the determinant of A is 1. Now, in the last video that you watched, we learned about the determinant of a 2x2 matrix, and then we learned about Cramer's rule, which applies determinants of certain matrices to actually find the solution to systems of equations. We just learned how to find the determinant of a 3x3 matrix, and similarly, we can look at Cramer's rule now for a 3x3 matrix. Now you'll notice here I use the notation CM. This is going to be our class material. So in our next class period, we're going to actually pick up on this example. So we're going to discuss how to use Cramer's rule for the 3x3 matrix. To make sure you're prepared for that, please review the work from 9.6 and 9.7. There were some review videos posted. And then make sure you're comfortable calculating the determinant of a 2x2 matrix using Cramer's rule from the last video, and what we just discussed in this video, finding the determinant of a 3x3 matrix. If you want some practice problems, I recommend you go to the textbook and just find a 3x3 matrix listed there as one of the odd homework problems. Work through finding its determinant, and then you can check your answer in the back of the book. So we will pick up on this material whenever we next meet in class.